ben Fabien Vauchelles. Ik wil graag de organisator van deze conferentie bedanken. And that's all for my Dutch. So thank you very much to be here. Who is already doing some web scraping? Yeah, some of you, nice. So my name is Fabien Vauchelles. I've been deeply passionate about web scraping for years. My enthusiasm led me to understand the fascinating world of proxy and anti-bot systems. I work at Wireman, an amazing company specializing in revenue management within transportation industry. Our work at Wireman involves handling millions of prices on a daily basis, which requires substantial investment in web scraping technologies. Our infrastructure for data collection is pretty big, mainly built on open source tech. I'm also the creator of Scrapoxy. Scrapoxy is a free and open source proxy waterfall proxy aggregators. It supports major proxy services like Rayobyte, Brightdata, IPRL, and cloud services like Amazon, AWS, and whatever. Since I started Scrapoxy in 2024, so the version 4, over 200 users have installed it. They exchange 70 terabytes of data, send 1 billion requests, and use 1 million proxy. So I encourage you to take a look at this proxy. Before we dive into the live coding sessions, I want to introduce you a little story. So enter Isabella. Isabella is a very nice student. She's a final year student, and she has a lot of thirst for traveling. Every year, she embarks for a 1-month backpacking journey on a random country. But here is a twist. This level of preparation consumes her entire years in terms of plannings. She couldn't help but notice there is a gap in the market. Why wasn't there such a tool in a digital era pumped with AI? It could be her ticket to a successful business. So she thinks, how can she create this kind of tool? But she realized that create this kind of tool need a lot of data, a vast amount of data. And this vast amount of data will be used to train large language models to curate her ultimate trip. Also, Isabella is very careful about her business approach. She wants to consider all the legal aspects before collecting data. And she is aware that she don't want to overwhelm too much the website by sending too much requests too quickly. She also wants to respect privacy. So she will only collect public data, so like review and not personal details like names. She will also not sign any terms and conditions, so she is free from any contracts. And with that, she is ready to collect data. So now let me introduce you the website she chose to scrape, TEQreview.com. So let me switch to that. So it's TEQreview. So what's TEQreview all about? TEQreview is your go-to spot for searching any accommodations that you want to a city. So imagine that Isabella is dreaming of Paris. She just clicks on search, and she will get 50 results and a list of different accommodations. If she clicks on one accommodation, this one, by example, she will get the name of the accommodations, the different detail, contact detail, location, descriptions, and also the review. It's all about analyzing those reviews. She's interested into this review. With large language model, we are able to extract the main feelings of the customer, what they are thinking about the review. So let me introduce you the structure of the website. I will open the Chrome Inspector, going to Network, click on Preserve Log, filtering on Doc, and I will go back to the home page. So on the home page, I've got the home page here, it's /level1. If I'm looking for the accommodation, I'm clicking on Search on Paris, I will get all the accommodation here. And if I'm clicking on one accommodations, I've got the accommodation in this part. I can try to understand the response, so I will get all the HTMLs. And if I'm going down, I will get the review, the so interested review. So that's this part that Isabella wants to extract. But clearly, she doesn't want to do all the tasks herself. She doesn't want to handle all the connection, HTTP connection, all the HTML parsings, all the retries, all the error managements, whatever, the concurrency, the scalings. She will use a famous framework. So let me introduce you the framework Scrappy. So who knows Scrappy? Yeah, some of you, that's good. So what's Scrappy? It's the most used framework, I think, in the world. It's a Python framework, open source, managing all the requests, concurrent requests, doing all the retry, managing cookie, whatever's, and it's maintained by a large community of persons, and furthermore, it's open source. So how it's working? Scrappy uses spiders. Spiders, so it's a Python class. You give it a cool name. Here it's tricky review spiders. You have two main requests. So you have the start request where you define the URL that you want to collect. And when you get the response, you use some parser. So here there is a magic CSS parser to collect the hotel names. So if I'm opening a real spider, so here it's quite the same. So you can see I've got the start request, so I'm going to the home page. After that, when I'm on the home page, I'm doing the query, so I'm going to get the different accommodations. When I've got the list of the accommodations, I've got the pagination to manage, so it's like flipping the page of a catalog. And when I've got the hotel list, I can go to each hotel links and extract the information. Here, I'm extracting the names, the emails, and the different review. So let's run these spiders. So now, you see, it's very fast. I've got here 50 items. That's good for you? Not too difficult? We are good? Okay. And we can check that we've got all this information in a structured way. Here, I've got this information. I've got the name, emails of the hotel, and the different review. So that's perfect. So there is something I didn't show you. There is different levels on this website. So I introduced different protections on the website. It's the same version of the website, but every time I added different protection. And Isabella will bypass these different protections. So I will move to the level 2 now. So if I'm running again the same spider, I think I will get a big error, which is unknown browser. Let me move that. Yeah, unknown browser. So why have I this error? It's because when the browser connects to a server, it's sending a lot of invisible informations from the HTTP protocol. So it's HTTP headers. And some of the headers are identifying the browsers, like the user agents. And here, we are just saying that we are Scrappy. It's here. Of course, the server will block us because it's automation detected. So we cannot use this kind of information. Let me show you here on these headers. So if I'm clicking on headers here, you will see the different headers that Chrome is sending. And at the end, you've got the user agent, which is Mozilla, my Linux platforms, and also the version of Chrome. And also I've got the Chrome informations. So it's not Scrappy. So let's use this kind of user agents. So if I'm going to my spider and changing the user agent, damn, I'm loving copilots. So yeah, it's sending me a Windows user agent. Perfect. Let's run that. So now, oh, I've got another error. I don't have the user agent error. I've got the no CHUA errors. Let me explain to you what is it. So as you see, there is a lot of HTTP headers sent. is because we are not sending only the user agent, but also consistency user agent, headers. So if I'm missing this header, or if it's a Linux and I'm sending a Windows, it won't work. So I need to align all these parameters to keep the consistency. So I need to add CHUM, mobile, and platforms. Let's do that. So if I'm opening again my Spider here, add some default headers, default request headers, ch user agent, this one, and say ch user platform. Yes, that's perfect. So I just send all the 4 header, and if I'm running again this Spider, this time I've got everything. So I just bypassing the anti-bot protections. Of course, in the real life, the anti-bot never say what's missing. So you have to figure out yourself what is missing. But it's a demo, so I've got some tricks. So I've got my 50 items, that's perfect. Let's move to the next levels. So level 3. What will happen on level 3? So this time, if I'm running the Spider, you can see I can retrieve only 21 items. Okay, what's happening? I've got here too many requests, etc. It is because I'm sending all the requests from my laptop or a server, so one IP address. So I need to use more IP addresses. So to do that, let me introduce a concept which is proxy. Who knows what is a proxy? Who knows what is a proxy for web scraping? Okay, that's less. So a proxy is a system that relays your internet from the scraper to the website. So instead, for the website, instead of seeing one IP address sending millions of requests, it will show just a lot of IP addresses sending few requests. So you will bypass the rate limit. Of course, there is different type of proxies. There is data center proxy. So it's the first serious type of proxies that you can find on the internet. So they are fast, cheap, and reliable. It's basically virtual machine where you install proxy software on that, on Amazon, GCP, whatever. However, they are easily detected by anti-bot systems because the IP address, it can be detected. Let me show you how it's detected. So an IP address belongs to an IP range, okay? And the IP range belongs to an autonomous system number. And this autonomous system number has a name, which can be Amazon, by example, or DigitalOcean. And this kind of information can be detected easily by anti-bot systems. But there is a trick. And this trick is ISP proxy. So what's ISP, Internet Service Provider proxy? So basically, it is the same like data center proxy, but the VM doesn't use the IP address from the data center. Instead, they will rent IP address from mobile carrier, internet box, etc. So they will get some IP range from perhaps Verizon or Comcast, and they will use one of the IP address. And the result is that your proxy is mixed with IP range from mobile carrier, internet providers, whatever, and it's barely undetectable. But it can be. So that's why there is what we call residential proxy. So what is residential proxy? So the IP address came from a real smartphone, a real laptops. It's because users are sharing that. How can you make it that happens? When a developer wants to earn money from his smartphone application, laptop application, he has basically 3 solutions. First one is to sell some subscriptions. So an annual subscription, monthly subscription, which unlocks some features. The second solution is to add advertising. So you always have a lot of ads on free applications. So perhaps an app at the bottom or a video to watch to unlock some features. And there is a third solution, which is sharing your bandwidth. That's cool. Of course, with your agreements in the bottom. So that's where the IP residential come from. So it's real IP address. Perhaps 10 minutes before you were on a social network, so it's barely undetectable. So now what we can do is to use Scrapoxy to manage all these kind of providers. So let me show you that. So it's here. I will start Scrapoxy. So it's very easy to start Scrapoxy. Just come online with Dockers, and it will be up and ready in a second. Yeah, it's ready. So if I'm going to Scrapoxy UI, I just have to put my credentials. I've got already one project. There is no proxy. OK, let's add some. There is a marketplace with a lot of providers, so data center provider, ISP providers, proxy, residential provider, material provider, list of proxy, whatever. Imagine that you want to add address here. You just add your credential on the UI here. And Scrapoxy will handle all the installations, the start, the stop, the routing, whatever. If I'm going to the connector here, I already have one address connector. If I'm starting the connector, so now Scrapoxy will just connect to address APIs, ordering to start VMs, doing all the installations. So you will see that in 10 seconds, I already have my instances. They have some metrics. I can track the bandwidth, the number of requests, the status here. And I will have the IP address and the geolocations. So as you see, it's very quick. So I can have very quickly 10 proxy. So it's based in Dublin here. I can confirm that here with the map. So now I know that everything is based in Dublin. That's perfect. And I've got some metrics. So valid number of valid requests and valid whatever. So let's plug that now to my spiders. So it's very easy to do that. What I will do, just copy paste a little snippet here with the credentials. I will explain you. So if I'm getting that here, yes. Is it big enough? Yeah, perfect. So basically, it's just one middleware, configuration middleware in Scrapy, and I added some parameter, the credentials, and that's it. So now, if I'm running the spider, you will see that I'm sending correctly all the requests, and I've got my 50 items. So I can also confirm that all proxies are used, and yes, they are used. You can see Scrapoxy round robin sent all the requests here, and I've got 100% success rate. So that's so cool. So what we can do now is to move to the next levels. So if I'm getting back here, moving to level 4. So now we are tackling more advanced protections. So that's what you can have in the real world. So if I'm going to the level 4 and starting that, you can see that I've got one error, which is, oh, it's encrypted, data center forbiddance. So you see that the anti-bot system just detects the IP address came from the data center because the autonomous system number is Amazon here. So Amazon, GCP, whatever, DigitalOcean is blacklisted. So I need to use more advanced proxy types, so more advanced IP address. So to do that, I will add some from Scrapoxy. I will use some from Raybyte. So Raybyte provide ISP proxy, residential proxy, whatever. So it's very stable solution. And my friend Neil here is managing that. Let's do that on Scrapoxy. So I will first stop AWS because I'm not so rich. And I will add some Raybyte proxy. So I already created my token on Raybyte UI, and I can add 10 proxy here. From the US, I've got different subscriptions, Germany, UK, we'll use US. Okay, let's do that. So let's take a little bit time here. Yeah, that's perfect. registering everything. I will add the second subscriptions. That's perfect. And here, if I'm checking my proxy, so as you see, Scrapoxy stopped the instances of Amazon's. There is also the success rate when I sent from the data center and it was detected. So you can see that. That's very interesting. And I've got my US IP address. I can confirm that on the map. So yes, they are based all over the US. And you can start thousands of proxy, whatever. So now, if I'm restarting the spider, so as you see, I don't touch anything on the configurations, just click and add some connectors. If I'm running again this part, now it will make some requests. As you see, the different requests are working. Because I'm not using data centers, it's not detected, in fact. So I've got my 50 items, that's perfect. Okay, so now let's move to the next level, level 5, and run that spider. So what's happening this time? I sent too many requests from a different IP for a single sessions. So that's now we are coming to tricky stuff. So I'm using what I'm doing, I'm connecting to the home page. So the website is tracking me with a session cookie. But what I'm doing, I'm using the different IP. The first IP, I will do a request with this cookie to get the home page, the next to get the list of hotels, the next one to get an hotel, etc. So I'm using different IP address to do the request. And clearly the antibot, as the first change of IP address, detect me. It's strange. This guy is based on different locations. So yeah. So he just kicked me out. What I need to do is to keep the same IP address from the same sessions. And perhaps I will do 10 requests for one session, kill these sessions, create another one, send the request, etc. So I've got another spider here, which is basically the same, but every 10 requests, he will stop the cookie session and get a new one. So going to the home page to get a new session cookie. So now I will run these spiders. Right. So it's this one. And I need to activate a very important options in Scrapoxy. So in Scrapoxy, there is a setting to inject a cookie. So it's very useful when you are using a browser, an automation browser. I will show you just after. So it will inject a cookie on different requests, on all the requests. So at the first time, you will get a cookie. And the second time the browser is sending the request, he will send also the cookie. And this cookie has the name of the output proxy. So he will reuse with the same cookie the output proxy. It's like doing the same that the website is doing, tracking the session. We are tracking the output proxy and using the same. So now if I'm doing that, and I'm starting the spider, I can get everything. Of course, there is issue with retry sometimes because there is not enough proxy. So perhaps I won't get all hotels. But if you implement some retry mechanisms, it will work. So as you see here, I got my 50 items. That's perfect. So I use these session parts. So now let's move to the next levels. So next, the level 6. So if I'm starting again these spiders, this time I've got a big error, which is no fingerprints. Who knows the fingerprint? No? Okay, a little bit, yeah. So what's happening? So let me get back to the website. So now we are going to real world of commercial antibot systems. So if I'm moving to level 6, and I'm not filtering on requests, if I'm just navigating a little bit, so what you see is there is a lot of GET requests. But at some point of time, I've got a POST request. So the browser is sending information to the server. And oh, there is another one. So it's sending that at regular intervals. So I'm sending informations to the server. So let's check what we are sending. So if I'm checking the payload sent, I can understand that I'm sending, let me show you, so it's a little bit big, yeah. I'm sending the platform, I'm sending also the time zone, and I'm sending also the real user agents. So what the antibot is doing, the antibot is just some script obfuscated on the browser, collecting configurations, so this kind of information, and sending that to the server. So I need now to execute JavaScript to collect this information and to send this to the antibots. I cannot rely only on Scrapy, because Scrapy is not executing JavaScript. I need a real browser, but I want to automate that, so I need that Scrapy command the automation stuff and start a browser and do all the control stuff. So do you know some automation framework? Yeah? What? Selenium, yeah. Sorry? UiPath, it's a visual one. Cypress, it's more end-to-end test. And there is Playwright and Puppeteer also, so you can use. So this time, we will use Puppeteer. No, Playwright. Yeah. So what's Playwright? It's a headless framework, but for the demo, we will use headful, okay? It will command the browser. There is Chrome, Firefox, Edge, and a lot of browsers. And of course, we are running a browser, so we can execute JavaScript. It's maintained by Microsoft, and it's open source, so let's do that. And also, the beautiful part, it's very easy to integrate it to Scrapy. So if I'm coming back to my IntelliJ and opening the Playwright script, so it's quite the same script that I show you. So you have the same spider, you are going to the home page, and at the end, you collect the CSS part. So you see, moving from a classic spider to a Playwright spider, it's quite the same. But the things that I change is just the download handlers. So instead of using Scrapy Python request, we will use something that connects to the browser and just order to the browser to collect the information and get back to Scrapy. So now, if I'm running that, so the Playwright script, what you will see is that Scrapy just ordering to Playwright to open the browser. So it's launching Chromium. I'm going to the home page. The home page is collecting informations and sending that to the server. And now I've got the right to collect the different data. And as you see, it will collect the different information. So I'm going to the different hotel page, and it's fully automated. And as you see, it's launching a lot of Chrome. You can do that inside the Docker, so it seems like a real user. And as you see, I'm collecting everything. I will stop that because it's a little bit longer, but it's working. So now we can move to the next level, which is level 7. Yeah. So now what is happening on these protections? So Scrapy is ordering to Playwright to open the Chrome browser, here connecting to the home page, sending the fingerprints, and what's happening is I've got a big error, which is inconsistent time zone. So now we are entering into real issue. The antibot system is not just collecting the information, not checking that we can execute JavaScript. It's just also checking consistency between the information sent and also the other information of the browser layer, like the IP address layers. Because on the IP address, we are using US IP address. So the time zone is America, Chicago here. But the time zone of the browser is Europe, Paris. So there is 7-hour difference. It's not normal. So we need to make it consistent. I can change the IP address location. I can change also the time zone of the browsers. I will keep the US IP address. But now, what I can do is change the time zone of the Playwright. So I can do that here, time zone ID. I will use America, Chicago. Perfect. So now if I'm running again the spiders, what's happening is Scrappy ordering to Playwright to open a Chrome browser. The Chrome browser is connecting to the home page, sending the fingerprint, and this time the fingerprint is consistent. So now you can see I will go to the different pages and collect information. So I just bypass this. I will stop here. It's perfect. So thank you very much. That's all for me. I hope that you enjoy the session. So download Scrapoxy, add it a star if you want, and if you want to join my company, I'm here. And I will be very happy to answer all your questions. Thanks. Yeah.
I have one question. At the level 3, 4, and 5, we have problems with too many IPs,
Yep.
with no data center console, with easy requests. Why do we use proxy instead of just investigating all the rate limits of the current website and just not make delays between requests?
Yeah, you're right. We can first try to identify the number of requests that you can do with one IP address. And also, it's very important to do that. But imagine that the website say, OK, you can do 100 requests per hour, OK, to collect the data, because normal user will do 70 requests per hour. And you will do, in 24 hours, 1 million requests. So you need to use proxy. And if you check the rate limit, how much information you directly know with calculus, how much IP address do you need? So that's why. Yeah. You like? Yes?
Have you noticed it's getting easier if you're using IPv6? Or, like, I mean, because with IPv6, it's sort of easy to get quite a large block.
Yes.
I'm curious.
So the question is IPv6 is better than IPv4? Yeah. So it depends on the, yeah, it's a good question. I've got a lot of questions about that using IPv6. It depends on the websites. Sometimes you cannot use them because the antibot in front of you blocks you because it detects the session using JavaScript. So using IPv4 or IPv6 doesn't make the difference. But clearly, a lot of people try to use IPv6 because it's cheaper, in fact. So you can use that, but at the end, it will be data center with IPv6. So it's if you want to have data center IP address, you can use IPv6 at the end. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah.
Do you have any insights what the most popular use cases are for your web?
Yeah, the most popular web use case for web scraping is scraping price from e-commerce. So that's the number one use case of getting these informations. After there is social media, so it's automating posting like platforms that you have. You see on the keynote, 47% of content is generated by bots. So who is posting this content? Yeah, that's one kind of traffic. And also, there is airline scraping, what I'm doing, but it's a little part. But most of the time, it's e-commerce and property rentals, too. Yeah, it's a good use case. Yeah. Yeah?
You also often find that X4 IPs still work on web scraping.
So, can you repeat?
We still often find websites which allow X4 IPs.
Extra rewards?
You know, the X-4 IP address, which you can fill in through headers.
So you can emulate, you add headers?
Yeah, that you can basically edit your headers to emulate an IP address.
No, they are clearly taking the IP address from the network card or this kind of information. And most of the time, the website is behind reverse proxy. And the reverse proxy is checking the real IP address, adding some information, and sending back to the servers. And some antibot systems are plugged directly on the reverse proxy. Yeah. Yep.
So is there a level 8? Is there a next level of protection that you can't
Yes. So because it's a 30-minute presentation, on the 45 presentations, there is obfuscation part. So where you deobfuscate the protection, because as you see, we can just open Chrome DevTool and see the payload. But most of the time, it's more encrypted with asymmetric encryption. So what you want to do, okay, it's encrypted with, so let's trace back to the code who encrypts the payload. But when you open your JavaScript, it's fully obfuscated. So it's very difficult to understand that. So the task is to reverse engineering the obfuscated code. Yeah. Yes?
I was just thinking, Cloudflare has a sort of updated anti-bot protection.
Yeah.
That's also difficult, I assume, to get past or impossible. I don't.
Now, yes, that's a very good question. So what is the difficulty to bypass an anti-bot system? So the answer is it depends on the anti-bots. There are about 15 commercial protection in the world. They are at different levels. Cloudflare is difficult to bypass, to be honest. You can bypass that. There is technique for that. Also, it depends on the number of requests that you want to do. But clearly, it depends on the protections that you have. And the answer is it will be more difficult to bypass protection in the future. So doing web scraping will be more and more difficult because installing an anti-bot solution can be done in 5 minutes. So you go to Cloudflare, you just select that, you do the redirection. If you configure everything in 5 minutes, that's finished. You have your anti-bot protections. There is also different anti-bot protection with JavaScript, with whatever. But basically, between 5 minutes and 1 hour, you install the protections. And if you have this level of installations, it will be more and more difficult to bypass them.
And I do imagine that, like Cloudflare, as far as I know, is mostly used for DDoS protection, not necessarily content protection. So they mostly try to rate limit you. They don't really care about your IP or intellectual property or whatever. And as soon as you start encrypting your content, yeah, then.
Yes, on Cloudflare, you can select the level of protection that you want, and so there is a free levels, and after you have to pay. Free levels clearly is basic DDoS protections, so we are not in the scraping world here. We are breaching and killing the website in front of you. And also, that's a very important part when you are doing web scraping. A thing that you have to monitor is the timeout, so the delay of the request. So if you are sending a lot of concurrent requests and you see that the website is increasingly the delay, you should lower because you are going to take down the website, and it's a DDoS. So it's not illegal, it's a legal issue. But after that, Cloudflare clearly protects website content, so detect web scraping, and push you a captcha. Yeah. That's why. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you very much. I've got some. Yeah.